Yeah, I meant to send that.
Good evening and welcome to Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation. My name is Donna Graybanks and I am your host. Our special guests tonight are Naleighna Kai and welcoming back Marie McKenzie. Who are both award-winning authors. Ladies, welcome to Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation. Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you for having us.
Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation is brought to you by Isla's Diamonds LLC, Lee's Press Publishing Company, Milton McCulloch, author of Love and Emancipation, and a Dante production, who will feature dueling saxophones July 16th at Cinematique on Beach Street, and the Fresh Book Festival will be February 22, 23, 24 in the beautiful city of Daytona Beach in 2024. Please join us. If you have any questions for the ladies, please leave them in the chat room. And this conversation is being recorded. So ladies, thank you for being here. I will start with you, Naleighna, if you could just give us a brief background about who you are.
Thank you. Once again, I am Naleighna Kai. I'm a USA Today and Essence Magazine best-selling author. I am a literary agent who has landed book deals for clients with traditional publishing houses, such as Simon & Schuster, Harlequin, and imprint of Macmillan. I am an Amazon influencer as well, and the book whisperer, the person that you come to when you're thinking about writing and publishing a book, and I will actually help you to do the damn thing. Because I believe everyone has a story to tell, and I'm just one of the people who can help you to tell it well.
So thank you so much. Marie, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am Marie McKenzie, and my background is registered nurse. I've been a registered nurse for over 25 years. I'm an award-winning best-selling author, speaker, coach, and I'm new to the writing community, actually. It's been like 2 years, discovered by Naleighna Kai, and you'll hear more about it later. And glad to be here.
So we interviewed Marie last week. We talked about abuse, and she told her story. She's going to give us a little snippet of it again this week for those who may have missed her last week. And thank you for taking the time to come back and be with us. So Naleighna, talk about you are the CEO of Macro Marketing and Promotion.
Macro Marketing and Promotions Group, yes.
And the Cavalcade of Authors. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Macro came about because that's the name of my publishing house when I self-published, and then I, started the business to do that, and then eventually branched out because some people didn't need publishing help. They needed marketing and promotion help, which is also where the Cavalcade of Authors came in. It's an event that's going into its 19th year.
Wow.
And we've been everywhere. We've done, mostly it was stationed in Chicago, and then we've done several times at the Atlantis Resorts in Paradise Island, Bahamas. And last year we did it in Dubai. And when I say it's a wonderful, intimate experience where readers and authors can connect, it's mostly for my writing tribe. These are people who put skin in the game. And these are readers who are just, when I say amazing, they're people who actually, they really actively support authors like me and my writing tribe. And it's been a wonderful experience. So, yeah.
So tell me how it is you decided to go from self-publishing to being a publisher. That's a big jump.
Well, actually, when I started, I was so happy to be writing and healing. I wanted everybody to write a book. I wanted my son wrote a book, my minister wrote a book, the dog wrote a book. I don't even know the dog, but I'm just saying I wanted everybody. To write and heal. And I started it to publish myself, and then I published my son's book, and then we both got a book deal with Simon & Schuster. And it's helped a lot of people. My consulting services, there are people who think they want to write a book, and then they come to me and I help them through the process. And sometimes they want to publish, and sometimes they just want to tell their truth and their stories. And it doesn't necessarily need to be published, but they have this burning desire. And I'm the person that kind of guides them to whether this is how it gets done. Let's set some dates, let's set some goals. Or there's been people I've told, I want you to write it, then I want you to burn it, then I want you to write it again. I want you to write it until you release it and you're numb. That doesn't mean that they need to publish. They just need it out So I'm the person that helps to gauge that with a person. And also too, there are people who are afraid to put their work on because they're not good in English or whatever. That's what editors and all of the other people that I put them in touch with that can help them to get their story out. So, and then I had a call last night. It was really interesting. This young woman called. She has a guy who's actually just got locked up, and he wants to do his book, but she's doing all the legwork. I said, essentially, you're about to become a publisher because he's going to have to drop it off to you. You're going to have to do everything, which means you need to learn everything from A to Z. And she hadn't thought of that, hadn't considered that. So I said, why don't you think about it? Then you come back to me and we'll do a consultation, because he's got multiple books, but he can't do the hands-on work of anything if that's where he is. And there's been many successful authors who have published their books behind bars. I'm sure he has a story to tell, but
He's there for a long haul, or he's there for a short span?
They don't know yet.
Okay.
They don't know yet. I asked, that's the one question I asked,
Right.
but either way,
Right.
she's going to have to do all the heavy lifting, which means essentially inputting the edits and all that. She's essentially going to be a co-author and publisher.
So do you, Naleighna, do you restrict who you publish?
Yes, I only publish my writing tribe, and we publish series. And here's why. They have gone through the process. They have gone through the videos. They've gone through the consultations. They have a certain writing ethic. Even for me representing them to get them a book deal with a major house, there's one thing to get a book deal. You also have to know how to keep that book deal. So it's all about building their brand, about their writing ethic, also about branching out to different genres. Anyone in my tribe right now, if I said we need to write a paranormal, they can swing that. If they need to write a mystery, they can swing that. If they need to write erotica, they can swing that. Because there's some people who start the writing game and they just want to stay in this one lane, but you don't know what opportunities will drop in your lap that will, you may say you want to be romance, but somehow Christian fiction is what breaks you out. Wow. So you have to be versatile. Not everybody's ready for that. My tribe members are ready for that.
And so how do you become a part of your tribe?
We had a 30-day challenge, which Marie was part of. And it was an amazing thing where they had to write their book in 30 days. That means they were disciplined. Marie was one. It was 4 people that made it through. It was about 20 that started. 4 people who made it through to the end. And all 4 of those people actually achieved more than I did when they released their books. Marie was #1 on Amazon for several weeks.
Yes,
not just days. I managed days. She managed weeks. They far surpassed some of the vets in the tribe. We were so excited. So they did the challenge, wrote their book, and in between there was a daily check-in on Facebook. There was a weekly Zoom where they had to give us what's going on, and they get the feedback, and they also get some encouragement. They had 30 days. They had a certain word count. I did a word prompt. We found out what their word count should be every day. They did it, and it was amazing. Then they went through the editing, and my son, Woodson Creative Studios, he did their cover designs. And when I say it was an amazing process, everybody doesn't make it. They think they want to do this, but sometimes they realize, okay, I just want to tell this one book. I want to sell it to my family. I'm good. But Marie had a bigger message. Her message, it's amazing to me that sometimes I go in cycles. For a period of time, there were women who were coming to me that were leaving their husbands. They were divorcing. Then there was a cycle where people who were molested. Then it was a cycle of things, and they come like that. Her story was so amazing. And it upset some folks too, back home, that did not want her to share that truth. And it was one person that got online that took her to task for telling her truth, and the tribe came out in support. That exchange on Facebook put Marie back on the bestsellers list again, just from people watching how tribe supported her. She didn't say a word. She said, it's above me now. Tribe took up the fight, because there's no way anyone should silence you for telling your truth.
The question I was going to ask later on was, who does your covers? Because that person does an amazing job. You just said it was your son.
J.L.
So
Woodson.
how did you bring him into the tribe? Did he come in kicking and screaming, or is that exactly what he wanted to do?
See, here's what had happened. He wrote his first book at 15.
Oh, okay.
And it was published at 16. And he actually, his book got him a 4-year academic scholarship to Fisk University. And he was actually at the first ever National Book Club conference. He was the first one that they ever gave down there in Atlanta. He far surpassed what I did in the industry, got invited to the Harlem Book Fair where we met Maya Angelou. And all of the different things that opened the door because he wrote. Now, that didn't mean that he wanted to do book covers. He has an artistic eye. He also could do websites. So what happened was I needed a book cover design for Open Door Marriage. And I was telling him he doubted himself. He put it together at the last minute. But here's the interesting thing. Then other publishing houses started coming to him for them to do their covers. And even an imprint of a traditional publishing house came and asked for him to do covers for them. But the thing about it is, it was a latent talent in him. He is to cover design and graphic design what I am to words in books and publishing. And when I say and he can write, he's a prolific writer. That's just not what he really wants to do.
Right. Okay. So Open Door Marriage is right there. So was that the first?
Actually, that's the last book in the series because
no. Was that the first? Was that the first cover you looked at and said it's good?
This one is the third rendition of that cover.
Okay.
He did the one with the man with the chest on the cover.
Oh, right.
Special edition. Then when it got picked up by Brown Girls, they hired him to do the new cover for that publishing house. And then when I took it back, my rights back, this is the final cover for Open Door Marriage. Nice. And it also is part of the series. The 90 Days of Pleasure is the 9th book in the 10 Days of Pleasure series, but it started from Open Door Marriage. Everyone wanted to know why Dallas was so in love with Alicia. Each tribe member wrote 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, 40 days. They went to different places all over the world to show how much Dallas loved Alicia and they tackled some social issues along the way.
Fabulous. It's nice to see generational wealth come along, right? You want to keep it in the family and hopefully your grandkids and your grandkids and your children's children.
I'm waiting.
I think, because I believe that, our tagline is literacy is a legacy,
yes.
I have to leave it behind. And so I really hope that for you. So thank you so much. I'm going to switch over to Miss Marie right now. Miss Marie, I want you to talk about the experience of working with Miss Kai and how you were open for the challenge.
It was an amazing experience and still is, because I'm still with the tribe. What happened was I was navigating my feed on Facebook one night and this little message popped up about a 30-day challenge. And I messaged her, she invited us to a Zoom. And the night I remember, it was to either write a memoir or a self-help book. And I chose memoir. And after I get off the Zoom, I was like, what did I just commit to? But then I started writing. And I remember she said that night, if it's a painful experience or memory, do not write it at night.
Okay.
And that night I started writing because it just started coming back. So I wrote that one scene.
Is that because you wanted to get some sleep?
And I didn't want to go to sleep.
No, right, exactly. Okay.
I just wanted to go start it. I was just so excited to start it. And then she paired me up with J.L. Campbell, who lives in Jamaica. She was my editor, my book coach, still is my editor, and we've become very, very dear friends. So about 2 weeks into the process, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't write that many words. And one day I got a message that says, send me your phone number, from Naleighna. And the phone rang and it was her. And it's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm not going to make the deadline. And every excuse I come up with, she had like, record while you're driving, do this, do that. So, and that was what I needed actually, because I was like full speed ahead after that. I was recording when I was driving. I was sitting at work in the bathroom with writing and everything. So, and I completed it in 30 days, went through editing and the support from the other members of the tribe, beta reading, giving feedback, supporting. And then when it came to release day, wow, everybody on all their social media feeds, the book appeared. So the four of us who made it to the end, we released our books on different days.
Right.
And those days, our books were like on everybody's feed. People sent it even out in their newsletters. We hit #1 bestseller. I was so giddy. I didn't know how to act. so excited. I'll never forget that experience. And I owe it all to this lady. Yes.
And so what did you write about?
I wrote about my experience with sexual abuse.
Okay.
And how I overcame that and what I'm currently doing, like helping others, being a nurse. I developed a passion for helping sexual assault victims. So that has stayed with me throughout my years in the ER, now into the community crisis center.
So so people don't get confused. Things that keep you up at night is your novel. 90 Days of Pleasure was your anthology, right? You wrote with different.
No.
Okay.
Things that keep me up at night, that's my memoir.
Okay.
90 Days of Pleasure is a part of the 9-book series, well, 10-book, because Open Door Marriage series, led by Naleighna Kai.
Oh, so you two wrote it together, the 90
Yes.
Days of Pleasure. Okay.
Yes.
Tell us what you wrote about with that.
So I wrote about Dallas and Alicia. And, he's so in love with this lady. She was older. She's uncomfortable with the age difference. And she has unresolved trauma issues that she's dealing with. So he is determined to win her love, to soothe her affairs. So he planned this trip to Durabia, which is fictional Dubai. So chance encounter on the plane, the crown prince of Dubai caught sight of Alicia and became smitten. So then he had some devious plans to get her hold to himself and get the book. It's not to give away too much, but it's amazing.
Thank you so much. And so let's talk about the day you decided to go to Dubai.
Me?
Yes, you.
The day I decided to go to Dubai?
With everybody. You went to Dubai, right?
Oh, yes. And my husband went with us too. Yeah. So, of course, Naleighna is the one who organized all these trips and make all the plans. We just show up and have fun. So we booked our flights, packed our bags. We drove.
No hesitation.
No hesitation. I mean, I didn't even have to invite my husband. When I told him, he's like, "Oh, I'm coming." It's like I couldn't leave him behind. So we had an amazing time there, meeting with our readers, socializing with the different authors in the tribe, meeting Americans who live in Dubai, who know some of the tribe members, who were sorority members of,
right,
like Brenda Jackson and some of the others. Terry Johnson is a sorority member with Brenda Jackson. But we had such a great time. We had book signings.
And you were there how long?
I'm sorry?
You were there how long?
8 days, 9 days? Yeah, either 8 or 9 days. Yes, did some tour of Dubai.
Did you ride the camel?
Yeah, yes, I did. I did. I did. That was fun.
Yeah.
And then we went through the dunes. I went around the dunes. My husband went through the dunes. So there were 2 different trips, but it was so much fun.
Phenomenal, right?
Yes.
So thank you very much. I'm going to bring Naleighna back up. Thank you.
Yes, welcome.
Naleighna, come on back up. So tell me how you decided that Dubai was the place you all were going to go.
Okay, so I went a few years back.
Okay.
And I will tell you, we had a bunch of complainers on that trip.
And you're never going again.
And it was like, I said, you know what, if I do this trip, I really wanted to enjoy it. And I said, I wanted to make sure that anybody who went with me on this trip was more informed, had better choices. But then the pandemic hit. So there was a lot of different
Right.
factors that went in. But let me tell you, for that, there was a trip of a lifetime for several people. And I wanted to make sure that I picked the right people to go.
Right.
You know, because when I say there was a whole lot of complainers on that first one, the complaining is what kind of brought the energy down. I mean, just really, even for me telling them to make sure that they chose the right airline. Fly Emirates, it's comfortable. Their coach is almost the size of business class. And you
Right.
know, I've got plus size hips.
Right.
So
Right.
there's
Right.
some people that can't fit in those little seats.
Right.
But Emirates, the food, the customer service. So that was the start of the trip. But when we got over there, everything was planned top heavy on the first part of it so that they could have the rest of the days to themselves. So all of the activities happened within the first three or 4 days. The cruise that night, the dinner cruise on the marina, it was just beautiful. Of course, the dunes. We went to the Grand Mosque in Abu Dhabi. All of those things factored in. And then they had all of the days that they could do other things for themselves. And when I say some of the pictures and things that they did when they were there, I was like, I got to go back again. It was
Yeah.
awesome, but it was a good group of people, and they mixed. There
How
wasn't
many?
any
How
of
many went?
we had over 90 people total, because there were some people who were in Bahrain that came over, and other cities that came over to be with us, and people who lived there in Dubai that came. So it was just over 90, I would say. But when I say that they were a good group of people, that they mixed well, they were at two different hotels, the Hyatt and the Hilton. And then we had the two buses and all of these things, and trying to make sure everybody,
Yeah.
but the best
Everything's
part was the shopping. Oh my God, we cleared out. We had a personal shopping experience because my son went several years ago, and he was walking down this in the Gold Souk, and the guy he bought the oils from years ago said, Jeremy, and my son said, Sean. And from that point on, that man had access to everything we needed. All we had to do is sit. They bought us food. They took us to the places that we needed to. We got severe
Wow.
discounts. When I say amazing, I mean, some people spent way more than they intended because the sales were so good. They catered to us. They even brought stuff to the hotel if we needed to. They would pay for cabs to get us there and back. When I say we clowned, we clowned.
And
And
so
next year we're going to do Greece and Holland.
did you have a connection over there to help you put that together, or you
No.
did all that yourself? Oh my
At
goodness.
first, we were planned it, and it was going through a travel agency. I went through 3 or 4 different travel agencies, and each one of them,
Fumble.
some of them even didn't get a good start, and one of
Fumble.
them just seemed not quite right. Even the agency that did the previous trip with that group of complainers, I don't know what they were thinking, but it was not coming together good. Then I went to travel agencies that the law firms that I've worked for use, and they fell down on the job. And the last one, this is
Fumble.
when I took over and said, okay, there was a price drop from $200 and some odd dollars down to $89. And I told people to go ahead and book that.
Mm-hmm.
Their own, just go ahead and book that $89 a night at a Hyatt, a 5-star.
Right.
And while I was waiting for the agency to get back to me, they never got back to me. I said, ask them, can they match this price for what I'm already signing on? And they never got back to me. And then when I finally got to the hotel myself, the price had went up to $329 per night, because all of those people snatched it at that price, but everybody didn't see my email. So I ended up having to put the rest of the people at the Hilton, which was only about $10 more than what the people paid, and the buffet was included. When I say, I would rather, by the time we got through, they paid for the hotel and the air the same price that originally would have just been hotel only. I do not regret it. It put me under, I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
I took a hit on that, but I would rather have had the readers save that money than to just give them an extra $30,000
Right.
only for me to just get a free room. No, we can pay for my room. I got it. Break contract. You all book those cheaper rates. and get it. And a good majority did. So we had 2 different hotels, but the buffets, oh my God, the breakfast buffets, ooh, we clown.
Amazing, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So what made you decide that overseas is the connection that you were missing, your tribe was missing?
We've done Chicago. Cavalcade has been in Chicago 16, 17, however many years. We've all, and the Bahamas, the Atlantis resorts. I love the Atlantis resorts.
Right.
But when during the pandemic, they weren't as responsive as we needed to be, because they needed to be. I needed them to be. And I said, you know what? I want to go back to Dubai. That was supposed to be the next year's trip, but we end up doing it. And I have a connection there now that if I want to do it again, which I will. But the thing about it is, we've had people that were attracted to the event because it was a trip of a lifetime for them. They didn't come as readers, but they left as fans. And that's what we wanted, is a good, solid group of readers who will share with our work with other people. Say, hey, I met this author, you're going to love them. You need to buy the books. But it was the experience itself. We only had really 1 book event while we were there. Everything else was all about the experience. I didn't want people to travel 13 hours on a plane just to sit in the room to listen to us talk. Everybody had 5 minutes. 5 minutes if you can't hook them in 5 minutes, you don't need 50. So they got that one experience where we had the restaurant all to ourselves at a different hotel that they bussed us into. And they heard from the authors. We got the book signing parts of things out of the way, boom. Now we can have fun. That's the key thing. And they had fun with the authors. So now we're going to do Greece next year. And some of the tribe members, we're going to go to Holland. I wanted to do Thailand, but that's way too long to be on the plane. I have to take people's health into consideration. 18 to 24 hours a flight, that's not worth it. Maldives, it's not worth it. So we're going to do some other things too.
So tell us about Greece and when that's going to happen.
That's going to be October of next year, because that's the best time when it's less expensive and the weather is mild enough. My daughter-in-law, my son's wife, she's actually gathering the intel for the hotel, because my connection here in Chicago, I told her I wanted to go to Greece or whatever, and I haven't gotten the information back. So I'm taking the initiative. She loves doing that sort of thing. And once we do that and the price point is correct, I'm going to put it out there. But we already know we're going. Holland, we're going to be there a few days because we have a tribe member who lives in Holland. So Holland for a few days. And then the rest of it, we plan the trip so you can have the least amount of days off. If you have to be there from Friday night of one night to the following Sunday, you have so many days and you only have to take about 5 days off of work. So that's what I'm looking at, is I look at the overall reader and the experience. They're going to buy books. Some of them bought the books before they even left here. It's the experience that we have together. That is what makes the Cavalcade an amazing.
And so has it been the same authors pretty much? The Cavalcade?
Each year we get new tribe members. And we may have, like Brenda Jackson went with us one year. Mary Monroe was supposed to go with us, but she ended up having a health challenge and she wasn't able to go. So we bring Beverly Jenkins has been with us before. And the thing about it, each year it's different because some tribe members may not want to go. And we keep it with a certain group of authors, which is tribe or tribe related. And here's why. There's no competition between us. There's not that competitive edge or anything. Most authors sell out at the event because the readers that come, they will, once they hear them in that 5 minutes, they will support and buy from every author and at the tables. So I don't want to bring people with an energy that it's a competition. We work in tandem. We are a writing family. Our tribe, we sponsor, there are people who didn't go to Dubai, but they sponsored airfare and hotel for other tribe members who wanted to go, but did not necessarily have the funds.
Yeah. Right.
We're a writing family and we pay mortgages. If somebody loses a job, we help to pay mortgages, pay car note, because it's not a writing group. When I say writing family, this is my family. I have very little biological family. When I kind of distance myself from toxicity, we weren't a big group to begin with. This is my family. So you know, they know me more than some of my biological family does.
I think that that is what makes it successful. The
Yeah.
fact that it is actually a tribe, you know, it takes a tribe, right? It takes a village to bring it all together. So let's talk about you and how you decided that you were able to write in 3 or 4 different genres. Tell me when you decided that you could do that and how you decided.
It kind of progressed. In the beginning, I was just writing something that it was contemporary fiction. I didn't know genres in the
Right.
beginning.
Okay,
I just
okay.
knew back then, when I started in 2000, people were just telling their truth and telling their stories. And I
Right.
just kind of wove it into a fiction format. And I had no intentions of being an author growing up. I kind of fell into it in the sense that my sexual abuse counselor encouraged me to keep writing for healing purposes. So I used the characters to tell some of my trauma, but also couched it in fiction so it didn't have such a hard blow on the reader. I didn't think about that in the beginning. I was just telling my truth. So there's one book that I wish if I could rewrite it, I would, because I was a little too graphic. And I didn't understand that I had to consider the reader on the opposite end. But after that, writing, I love science fiction. I love speculative fiction. I loved Octavia Butler, loved L.A. Banks,
Yes.
Leslie S. Dale. So it makes sense for at some point that I would go into writing something similar. Additionally, writing my memoir became inspirational fiction. And My Time in the Sun, which you see right behind me, that's Christian fiction. So it just kind of progressed according to what story and the characters were telling. You know, the Kings of the Castle, Knights of the Castle, Queens of the Castle, they are all romantic suspense. I had not wanted to write, you know, that, but that's what it called for. And then you got the 10 Days of Pleasure, 90
Right.
Days. Yeah, that kind of progressed. So I didn't choose to write in the different genres. The genres kind of
Chose you. That's wonderful. And then on top of that, you get the NAACP Image Award nomination.
No, that was my son.
Oh, that was your son. Okay.
That was my son.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yes.
But you have
Yeah.
other accredited awards that you've gotten. Talk about those.
Well, it's the Elin Harris
Right.
author distinction. I got that at the Bayou Soul Writers convention, as well as the Mercedes-Benz Mentor Nominee Award. I was nominated for that. I didn't get the award for that.
Nomination is good.
Nomination is good because it was the Boys and Girls Clubs of America.
Right.
No, Big Brothers, Big Sisters. That's who nominated me. I was just amazed by that because my son had a big brother. And that's how that came about. So occasionally there will be something that comes up that the readers put me in for. And it's like, wow, you know, and those are always the best kind. Because there's ones that you go after yourself.
They are.
And there's a disappointment. I would rather have it that it comes as a surprise.
Yeah, yeah. And it gives kind of a check mark to what you know, that what you're doing. And people are realizing that you have to have the heart for it.
Yes.
You really just do. I mean, because most of us are still working. Well, I'm not, but most writers are still working and trying to fulfill their dream in writing. And, you know, that means it's early morning or late at night, or, you know, you have to back away from your family or your friends to get things done. And I don't believe that a lot of people understand the sacrifice you put in to give them good quality novels to read, or short stories, or even when you get a group of people together. And that's another thing. Listen, when you talk about taking a group of people to Dubai and it all didn't work out, how is it that you got that many people together for your book and got through it without all your hair falling out?
You mean the book or the trip?
The book. The book that had like, was there 17, 18 authors involved in it?
Oh, they're all tribe. They're all like mine.
Okay.
All of those are tribe members. The right stuff, the marketing stuff.
Yes.
That is all tribe.
Okay.
When I say tribe is cohesive, they're cohesive. And when I say they look out for each other, you know, I have little mini tribes within the tribe. So they're the newbies kind of hung together. But when it all is said and done, they all love and support one another. They may need some help on this. If they need an ear, they can call somebody. I've encouraged people to go to Marie when they need sexual abuse counseling or any
Absolutely.
type
She
of
was
counseling.
fabulous.
And she has counseled some members of Tribe. That's what we're here for. I'm the person that does the writing thing. That's where you can get me. You know, my claim to fame is the writing. You know, I play some bid whist. I love Chicago style stepping. I play amateur volleyball, but the rest of my life outside of working for the law firm is all literary.
Yeah. 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 Tell me how you believe the industry has changed since you started. And are those changes necessarily good? Just tell me how you feel about the changes in the industry.
It seems like it's come full circle in a lot of things. At the beginning of my writing career, there was the
Right.
graduate class of authors, Kimberly
Right.
Lawson Roby,
Right.
Mary Monroe, J.D. Mason, Elin Harris, Mary B. Morrison, who self-published.
Right.
And then they were picked up, right? And
Mhm.
over the pandemic, over those 2 years, a lot of authors who were self-published got book deals. So it seemed to come full circle. But the difference is back then, the publishing houses kind of supposedly did everything. You know, they had this outreach, whereas now it's more on the authors to make sure you build a brand, and it's a heavy reliance on social media. Now, for me, I came to social media kicking and screaming. My son made me get on Facebook. Then he made me get on Instagram. Then he made me get on Twitter. Then he said, I was like,
That's it.
that's it.
I'm done.
Because I have to have a life and I have to write. But I found Clubhouse, and I'm pretty big on Clubhouse. So I beat him to that. So I have like 25,000 followers on Clubhouse, and he has very few. But the thing about it is he's very intentional about his time. I'm very intentional too, because now I understand what he means about keeping that energy in too many places. But now it's up to the authors to build a brand and get the word out, because you can write a good book all day long. But if no one knows about it, you know, there's book talk, and there's Bookstagram, Black Bookstagram books. There's all of these things to be. I really want us to focus on writing a really good book. I'm looking at taking books to movies, books to film. I'm put a lot of submissions into several publishing houses, because my writing tribe, they ain't no punk. They can really write. There are people who, you know, kind of take a stab at it. These people are constantly evolving and learning the craft. So my thing is, how has it changed? Amazon is now more of a monopoly now than it was in the very beginning. So now we have to answer to the big dog, or we have to stay on the porch, because the majority of readers, what we did was we put everybody in Kindle Unlimited. We put everybody in Kindle Unlimited. And now that we're not making as much money in Kindle Unlimited, we don't get those readers back. There are people who had $100 a month book habit. Now they're stuck on that $9.99. We don't get that back. So we have to write the kind of books that'll make them shell out cash, even if the book is 99 cents, $1.99. So there's where the difference is. And also, too, the big publishers handed the ebook industry over to Amazon. They thought Amazon,
they did,
you know, play fair. And then Amazon said, okay, now we set the prices. And then the publishers took them to court, took Amazon to court, and lost. Why? Because
you gave it to me.
Yeah, right. He who has the gold rules. And the thing about it is, authors have to learn the readers need to become loyal to you, because Amazon is loyal to the dollar.
Absolutely. So I do a workshop called I Want to Write a Book Now What? And so the now what is always a problem for an author. So you've got the book, the cover is amazing, you sold it to everybody in your family who's going to buy it. Give them some tips about what you do next. I know you said face. Okay, go ahead.
That's why, see that book right there behind Marie? There's the right stuff, and then there's the
there you go. Okay.
And each one of those books, the right stuff and marketing stuff, is 99 cents. It wasn't about us selling the book. It was putting all of that information in one place from 18 different authors, that you can get all of their experiences and all of their tips to get you out there. Because the thing about it is everybody's journey is different. Everybody's writing journey is different. Everybody's marketing journey is different. There are some people in Tribe who have way more bandwidth than I do. So learning, I would tell them point blank, pick up the marketing stuff because you can absorb what you can, highlight what's needed. Oh, I can do that. I can learn from that. I can give you a few tips, but that's the biggest tip and the best tip that I can give you because it comes from 18 different people.
And everybody has their idea of what they think is the best, and you can take a little bit from everybody.
Exactly.
Talk about Clubhouse for a minute. I think a lot of people are aware of how well it works. Tell us how that works.
It's changed now, but
Okay.
over the pandemic, because people had time to sit.
Mm,
People were, employers learned a very valuable lesson. No employees, no business, no business, no life, no money coming in.
right.
So at that point, there were a lot of people who were sitting home and they had more time on. If Clubhouse had come out really way before, and I think it did, it wasn't doing so well until the pandemic hit. And now people needed connection. They needed another way to connect. Zoom was very minor in the beginning. Zoom became very big.
Oh, yeah.
Pandemic. Why? Because people needed to lay eyes on people. Clubhouse was the way people laid ears on people. And a lot of businesses started on Clubhouse. There was one woman that got into a room and said she had to choose between her 5 children and her job. And of course, she chose her children. And she started a business. She started a shea butter business. She said, I don't know what I'm doing. But there were people on that call on Clubhouse that said, sis, inbox me. I'll put your products in my subscription boxes. One said, I'll help you with some startup funds. Another person said, I'll put you in my store. It was so many people that reached out to help. So it was a business connection, but it was also a spiritual connection as well as a social connection that was needed. They changed the formula. The people who run Clubhouse do not listen to the end users.
Right.
We loved it the way it was.
Right.
And now they've changed it so drastically. I don't even go on Clubhouse as much.
Okay.
I'll slide in there occasionally, but I do have 2 books on Clubhouse experiences, 18 people, Powerhouse Voices, Amazing Experiences on Clubhouse, volumes 1 and volumes 2. Now it's 99 cents. Why? Because it's about getting the information to you and learning from. These were millionaires that I was connected with on the stages, and they knew the book whisperer. They knew Naleighna Kai. They know how to say my name. I would go into rooms and people would automatically pull me on the stage to speak because they'd heard me other places.
Wow.
But the thing about it is, it helped to expand the tribe. It helped to expand me. I took forever to get 2,000 followers on Instagram. With Clubhouse, I went up to 10,000.
Wow.
So there was that connection. Clubhouse was an amazing experience, but I think because they changed the formula, it has less power than it did during the pandemic.
How do you believe the power of overseas marketing is?
Well, because our books are available on Amazon, and it's available through Ingram Sparks and all these different places like Lightning Source, and it's available there. I think people overseas, they are hungry for new content. They've read all of the stuff that they have that was limited and available over there. That's why, and it's Florenza Denise Lee is our children's book author. And she has her books translated in Ukrainian, Polish, Mandarin, Spanish, and the sales for her books in other languages sometimes far surpass what is in English language. They're hungry for content. So the marketing itself, I would say if somebody's thinking about that, use social media. Social media is what's going to connect you with people. I find, because we get a list of where people buy, I have a following in India, and it could be because some of my characters are East Indian.
Right.
England,
They look so
Australia,
good on the cover.
yeah, that's on the cover of the for me as well. But my thing is, that is the best place you can advertise. You can actually specifically advertise in certain markets on Amazon. You can use that, and even on Facebook, you can advertise from your business page and target certain markets. And I've done that. So England, Australia, India, I have big, and now Dubai. I
Dubai.
have a following in UAE as well. It was like, wow. And it doesn't have to be big, because once they enjoy the book, they will tell everybody. We have a big following in the Bahamas because we've been down there 3 times for the Atlantis resorts.
Right.
And we have the book clubs down there. They came to the events. We would hold it. It was free for them to come. Sometimes it was like, wow. So wherever we go, we're making that mark of getting new followers and new readers. But social media and Facebook advertising and Amazon advertising, I would say, is the best place to market and target to do overseas marketing.
And I think people think that melanated authors won't sell overseas, but I beg to differ.
Oh my God, yes.
Because there's a whole lot of melanation overseas. There's probably more
No.
melanin than anything else, and people don't understand that they're hungry for content. They really want that difference.
And a different point of view, a different experience. They've read all of their own experiences. You know what I'm saying? So that's why when I have readers here, you know, people who are melanin deficient, so to speak, and they will read a book and they'll, oh my God, this was really good. There's so many misconceptions about Black people and about Black authors, and they what they see on the media, you know, and how it translates. And no, I don't want. And then they read a book. I'm a middle-aged Black woman, middle income, whatever, and they're like, oh, it isn't thug this and thug love and E's and H's, and it widens it. And I will say this: I credit James Patterson. His Alex Cross character,
yes,
I think, opened the eyes of a lot of white people, of intelligent Black people, because they've already been conditioned that we are not that way. And they keep seeing the news media of the ones that are clowning and acting up. So they attribute that to all Black people, you know. So reading is opening up the minds and the hearts of a lot of people. And that's why I think there was such strong activism when George Floyd and all of those things that hit. I saw more white people on the front lines and the marching lines than our own people, because now there was no job, there was no weddings and no events that was in between. There was no buffer between life and reality at that point. Like, whoa,
yeah,
it's been going on all this time.
It's right here.
Right. They could sit with that and understand it. And it was just so painful. Whereas, you know, stuff happens and it becomes so normal that we brush it aside. They couldn't brush things aside anymore, and they had time. They had time for it.
Wonderful. But you know, the time got away so fast. It's 8:54 already. I do thank you so much for spending time with us this evening. I do ask everyone who comes on to give me a pearl of wisdom. I'll take yours, Naleighna, and then I'll take Marie. She gave us one last week, but we'll see if she came up with.
I want to say something about Marie.
Is she wonderful? Wonderful.
She is amazing, but she also has poise. We went to an event in Florida, and it was the Independent Book Publishers Association, and she had this dress on. And when I say this regalness about her, that people were coming up to compliment her.
I know.
Just her beauty, you know, and I'm talking about non-melanated people. There's just her bearing, how she carries herself. She's very strong-minded, strong-willed, but she's also very compassionate. Yeah, you are. Don't trip.
Yeah, it's like a je ne sais quoi that people don't quite understand.
Indeed, and she's determined.
And determined.
Even all she needed was that nudge during that 30-day challenge when she wanted to. All it took was that nudge, because in heart of hearts, she wanted to see this through to completion, and I'm so glad she did. She's an amazing person. And writing 90 Days of Pleasure, she wrote the majority of it. This says it's co-authored, but it was really her. She don't want me to tell you about this one part. Okay, I won't tell you. But there was this one part where and it was funny because she tells people that I wrote it, right? And it's kind of on the wicked side. It's a little sensual, right? Right. We had a book club, and I said, "When have you ever heard me call that particular part that part?" And they just cracked up, because it was shocking coming from her to begin with, but it was amazing. But she pivoted, she rewrote and wrote that book to perfection. So I applaud her for her efforts. Marie is amazing, but her Things That Keep Me Up at Night, powerful book. Powerful book. Okay, back to you.
So no, you have to give us a pearl of wisdom before you leave.
Okay.
Yes.
The pearl of wisdom I would like to give
Yes.
actually doesn't come from me, but it
Okay.
actually spurred me on. It's Jim Rohn. It's a quote from him. If you work hard for someone else, you'll make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you'll make a fortune.
Say it again.
If you work hard for someone else, you'll make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you'll make a fortune.
Thank you. Naleighna Kai, everybody. Thank you for being here. Marie, come on deck and give us your pearl of wisdom before we say goodnight.
My pearl of wisdom, if you're writing your story, your memoir, it's your story. Tell it in your words. Don't let anyone dictate to you what you should write or how you should write it.
Thank you so much for coming again on Zoom
You're
In on a Fresh
welcome.
Conversation.
Happy to be
We'll
here.
see each other. Yeah, I'm going to bring you back now.
And
We're
great to
friends
have you.
now.
Naleighna.
We're going to bring you back. And so to the audience, when the lights go out and the cell phone towers go down, all you have left is a flashlight and a good book. Thank you for being on Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation, everybody. Good night.